we're going to start a new chapter, Chapter 7, Other Systems of the Human Body. In the first lesson, we will learn how does the digestive system work. For this lesson, I have 3 objectives. First one is to describe the structure and function of the digestive system. So you'll have to know where they're placed and then also how they function. Second one, identify disorders or diseases of the digestive systems. So we are going to take a look at common diseases that relates to digestive systems. And then the third one, explain how to care for the digestive system so that you can stay healthy. Number 1, digestion. Because we are going to talk about digestive system, it is important to know how things work with our organs. The definition of digestive system is the group of organs that works together to process food for the body to use. Basically, organs are going to start from small cells, and when you have those small cells, they form tissue. And then when you have a whole bunch of tissues together, they're going to form an organ. Organ system or digestive system, when you have different systems like this in the body, it means you're going to have multiple different organs put together to create a system so that they're working together to have certain processes going on. So digestion is actually a process that the organs break down foods so they can make the food into smaller pieces, and also the food can be absorbed into your body through that process. We have 2 different types of digestion going on in the body whenever we consume food. The first digestion process is going to be through mechanical digestion. Basically, it's the physical tearing and grinding of food. So when you consume food, you're usually going to bite down the food to make it smaller portion, and you're going to chew it so that the food is small enough for you to swallow. Chemical digestion is through digestive juices that your body would produce. You'll have different types of acids and also digestive enzymes that your body produces to break down the food particles into molecules. So not just small pieces, but into very tiny portions so that your body can actually absorb them. And digestion would happen in the digestive tract. And in other words, we also call it food canal because it's a canal of, or the tube of all these food going through for your energy making process. The very first step starts from the mouth. You have both mechanical and chemical digestion happening at the same time. When you start biting the food down with your teeth, and also when you're chewing the food, actually not just your teeth, your cheeks and your tongue work together to break the food down into smaller pieces. Once you are chewing the food, it's not going to be dry because you're going to have saliva produced from your glands near your mouth. And when you have either food in front of you so you can smell it, see it, or even when you think about food, they're going to start producing more saliva so you can have those food mixed with different enzymes in the saliva. So both mechanical, breaking down it physically, grinding, and also chemically with saliva, your first part of digestion happens. Certain type of nutrients can only break down with the enzymes inside of saliva. So it's really important for you to chew them thoroughly so you're not just swallowing food and have it take longer time for your body to break down. The second part of this process is through the esophagus. So esophagus is a narrow tube that connects the pharynx, which is right here, to the stomach. So pharynx is basically a muscular passageway that connects the nasal cavity and mouth to the esophagus. So they're all connected. Your mouth, your nasal cavity, your throat, they're all connected. And through pharynx and esophagus and down to stomach, you're going to have your food going down. So when you swallow, so have your food in the mouth, when you go swallow, what happens is that your epiglottis, which is going to be a cartilage flap, will close down so no food or drink would enter into larynx, which is going to be the air passageway that goes through the lungs. Epiglottis is the only part that you're not going to see some sort of digestive activity going on. This is just like a slide or a passageway that would move the food that has been chewed up and mixed with saliva to travel into the stomach. And by muscle contraction, they're going to send and push the food down into the stomach. So first we start from the mouth, and through the esophagus, your food is now going to be in the stomach, which is pointed with the green arrow. In the stomach, you also will have both mechanical and chemical digestion happening. Mechanical and chemical happens at the same time, and often we focus on the chemical part of these digestion, but we also have the mechanical digestion happening. The muscle contraction from the stomach helps the food and the stomach acid to mix together, and the chemical processes with stomach acid makes the food a smoothie-like condensation, and we call this chyme. Inside wall is covered with a layer of mucus because those acid can be pretty strong. So when you have those mucus covered walls, it can prevent the acid and enzymes from harming the soft inside of the stomach. After your food has been processed inside of your stomach for about 2 to 5 hours and your food is now completely turned into chyme, your body will have these valves called sphincters. So these are valve-like muscle, and you have two of them, one near the upper part of your esophagus and one at the end of your esophagus. So it's going to be right there to connect your esophagus and stomach. It's very important because this lower one right next to the stomach keeps the food from entering back into the esophagus. And because your chyme is mixed with acid and different enzymes, if they go back to your esophagus, you're going to have different irritation and symptoms like heartburn. So we don't want that to happen. And the sphincters can help you regulate just that. Once your food turns into chyme and moves down to the small intestine, this is the part where most of your chemical digestion and absorption happens. So inside of the lining of your small intestine, you're going to have these things called villi. Villi is a plural form of villus, which is going to be a finger-like structure inside of your body that helps you to absorb all these nutrients. You have more of them in the beginning of your intestine and then fewer as you go toward the end of the small intestine. Villi is very helpful because its main purpose is to increase the surface area of the small intestine. So the more surface area you have, the more nutrients you can absorb it efficiently. Usually for squared millimeter of area, you have about 10 to 40 villi. And considering the length of the small intestine, which is going to be on average about 6.7 meters to 7.6 meters, you're going to have a lot of villi to help you absorb all these nutrients throughout your body. Other than organs that are actually involved in either chemical or mechanical digestion, we have other organs that are part of the digestive system. And those are going to be pancreas, liver, and gallbladder. For example, the pancreas is important because it neutralizes the acids in the chyme, and it also helps to break down the chyme further inside of the small intestine. So because chyme directly from stomach is going to be highly acidic, if you don't neutralize them, it's going to burn inside of the small intestine. So it's very important. Usually it has different enzymes coming from the pancreas to break down certain types of nutrients such as proteins, fats, and starches. Out of these three things, probably the most important thing is to break down the fats. The liver is going to be important because they usually filter harmful substances that enters into the blood system. For example, if you drink a lot, your liver is going to be damaged because it's constantly filtering through the harmful substances inside of the alcohol. What the liver would do is to secrete bile to break large fat particles, similar to what the pancreas would be doing, but it's going to be a different type of enzyme. And whenever the liver creates those bile to break down the large particles and have leftovers, they're going to store those bile inside of gallbladder. So it's going to be the green little pouch looking thing right next to the liver, which is indicated with the green arrow in the picture on the left. The last part of the digestive system is going to be the large intestine. The main role of this organ is to absorb water and also form the remaining material into feces. So basically, whatever that is left over from chyme, it's going to turn into harder substance because now you're going to absorb all these watery liquid away from those material. Inside of the large intestine, other than those two things, you'll have bacteria living inside to produce vitamin B and vitamin K. And when the bacteria produce those vitamins, your large intestines will absorb those vitamins so that you can use it for your body. After going through many hours inside of the large intestine, usually those extra materials stay in there for about 24 to 30 hours. And then your large intestine will have contraction movement to push the feces into the rectum by muscle contraction. So rectum is going to be the straight part of the large intestine. So right here. And it's going to go out through the anus when you have a call from the bathroom. Once the material, which was once food, leaves your body, then you are complete with the cycle of digestion.